Hey guys, Joe Miles here with Osseo Gear. This is the Mission Whitetail podcast. We're going to be doing a deep dive into what it truly takes to kill these mature bucks. We're going to step outside the box and look at the why for gear, tactics, training, and more importantly, the mindset from over 35 years of chasing these magnificent animals all over North America. Thank you for following along and welcome to Mission Whitetail.
Welcome back, guys. Mission Whitetail episode 90, and this is going to be a solo podcast, and want to get into bow setup that I took to Africa, my results, what I figured out, pretty interesting stuff. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the Whitetail documentary film that we just released. It's gotten 42,000 views in about 3 days. Pretty insane. And we did this at the Whitetail Roadshow up in Iowa at the DeQuisto's home farm at Lone Wolf Custom Gear headquarters. And the event was absolutely amazing. Don't you think, Andrew? I mean, it really was. I mean, you had probably 300, I may have the numbers wrong, maybe it was 250 or 350, but it was packed. And the setting there in Iowa on Andre's farm, and what all Cody DeQuisto, Jacob, and AJ have done with that roadshow, getting people in. It's just a great, fun event. I would encourage anybody that's serious about bow hunting to try and make one next year. They do 4 of them. They're during the month of August, or they have been during the month of August. Whitetail Roadshow, it was the Mobile Hunter Roadshow. And it's just a bunch of like-minded guys. Everybody checks their ego and talks whitetail for really 9 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. And we were able to do the premiere of the Whitetail Brothers film. If you have not had an opportunity to watch that, it's on YouTube. It's on the Osseo Gear YouTube channel, and it is called Brothers of the Bow. And it's just a tribute to the legacy of the Whitetail Brothers, and kind of walks you through the history of their time as bow hunters, from when they were a kid all the way up to present day. They're 80 years old now, literally living legends. And we were just humbled and very appreciative as the sponsor of that documentary. Having the opportunity to do that and bring that to light is, I mean, it was emotional. Is that an understatement, Andrew? I mean, it was an emotional film, an emotional event. We did it after the roadshow concluded. It started at about 7 p.m., and it's a 45-minute film. And, man, there were tears being shed, and, people from all walks of life there. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about it. But if you get an opportunity, go to a roadshow next year. You will not be disappointed. And if you get an opportunity, watch the film Brothers of the Bow on the Osseo YouTube channel. All right, let's dive in to bow hunting. Well, actually, bow setup. We had talked about the ultralight setup, 67-pound bow, shooting 310 feet per second, shooting a 370 grain arrow. And I was shooting that bow. It was the Form 30, and shooting it lights out here at the shop at the Osseo shooting range. I mean, stacking arrows on top of each other, having to shoot different dots, because it was pretty amazing, and how fast that bow was shooting. Never shot one at 310. I have gotten up to that 303, 304-ish, but never to 310. And I really thought this was the recipe. That's why testing your gear is so important. And I guess I'm doing a little bit of foreshadowing about where this is going to go. But let's start off talking about accuracy. Let's talk about Africa and what I shot while I was over there. Did not shoot a ton of animals this year. I shot 2 kudu and a wildebeest. I also shot a Gims buck that we did not recover, and I will get into that. Again, the setup I had was the new HLR 350 spine arrows built by Arrows Anonymous. Kalen Pope built the arrows for us and got them ultralight, 370 grains all in. That is everything. That's the total arrow weight with the broadhead on it, 370 grains, 310 feet per second, 29-inch draw, 67 pounds of draw weight, and shooting the Form 30. The first animal I shot was the first afternoon we were there. Had a really nice, pretty kudu come in to about 32 yards. He was on the other side of the water hole. He gave me a quartering away shot, and I stuck it right in there quartering away. I actually shot a T2 broadhead, and I will tell you why, and this is a tip for everybody, including myself, and you would think after 35 years of doing this that I would know better, but I had a mega meat on my arrow, and I had drawn on another kudu twice and had to let down both times because he was either in a bad angle or he was walking, and the last time he got our wind and he ran off, so I never got to shoot him, and I had to let down twice. Well, on this kudu, I drew back and my arrow came off my string. I think letting it down a little bit violently in the blind twice caused the knock to get loose on the string, and it came off, and it fell right on the ground, and one of the blades opened up, so I had to pick up another arrow. I did have another arrow already out of my quiver and ready to go in case anything had happened, so there's another tip. Have another arrow ready to go. And the other one is, if you do some drawing back and letting down, make sure you reseat your arrow. Just a tip. May have something to do with that 30-inch axle-to-axle string angle. That's what pushed it off of there. Don't know that to be factual. But anyway, the arrow came off. Broadhead opened when it hit the ground, so I picked up the T2. 10-ring the kudu at 31 or 32 yards. Absolutely, slightly quartering away, shot him about the third rib back, went all the way through him, complete pass-through with the T2. Kudu went 150 yards, incredible blood trail, dead right there. So I'm like, all right, we got it. I mean, this is complete pass-through, quartering away on a 700-pound animal. This is pretty amazing stuff. So I'm fired up, right? Want to keep testing it. One opportunity is not enough to really gather your data point. Next animal, probably 2 days later, we had a nice wildebeest, and wildebeest, man, are super tough. They call them the poor man's buffalo because Cape buffalo is an expensive hunt. Wildebeest, not as much, but they are very, very tough animals, one of the tougher animals in Africa. And had one come in after an all-day sit. This is about 4:30 in the afternoon. Had gotten in the blind like at 7:30, 8 in the morning, sat all day, ate our lunch in the blind, and finally had this wildebeest come in about 4:30. He comes in and he's doing a loop around the water hole, and he's coming into the water hole, and he finally gets broadside, also slightly quartering away, got the mega meat on, and as I am touching off, pulling through my shot, he starts walking forward and turns as the arrow hits him, and so it hits him way back and steep quartering, and the thing went 80 yards and bedded. We found him bedded. He was still alive, but he was bedded at 80 yards. I did finish him off with a rifle. I wanted to get him killed as quickly as I possibly could. Went up and dissected things. That mega meat had gone up through his guts into the shoulder and had gotten the opposite side, the back of that opposite lung, and he was wrecked. That broadhead absolutely saved me. The size of that cut had just destroyed everything in there. Once again, man, I am a huge believer in that mega meat, the destruction that it does. And I got plenty of penetration. It didn't go all the way through him, but it was all the way through his guts, into the opposite side, back along, into the shoulder on the other side. Not 100% pass through, but we had a great blood trail. Again, that big cut through the guts gave you a great blood trail, whereas a lot of the smaller cutting mechanicals and smaller cutting fixed blades, I do not think we would have had a blood trail. Having said that, the trackers over there are pretty amazing, and we were following his tracks and the blood trail, so I'm sure we would have found him. But anyway, just an example of where that arrow setup, the penetration, and that broadhead really, really performed on a poor shot. Now let's get into the issues that I had, and then I will dissect that. 2 days later, I had a kudu come in to about 25 yards and completely relaxed, slightly quartering to, and I put it right on the shoulder for the quartering to, touched it off, and it was, I won't say it's a chip shot, but I'm very comfortable at 25 yards. So I think I was a little bit too relaxed, and I pulled just a little bit as I was releasing the shot, and I missed my spot by 4 inches at 25 yards. Killed the kudu, complete pass through both shoulders, mega meat. I mean, huge 2.5 inch triangle. You can go to my Instagram page. I got pictures of it on there, of that entry hole, big exit hole. Thing went 70, 80 yards. End of story. But I in the back of my mind, I'm like, what is going on here? How did I miss that far? And I thought, okay, I just let my bow hand down to the right too quick and caused me to miss. Everything on the bow was still tuned. Everything looked great. Got back to camp the next morning, went out and shot it, 25 yards, good to go. Last morning of the hunt, I wanted to try to shoot a big Gims buck, and sure enough, we had one come in. It's at 30 yards, again on the water, on opposite side of the water hole. The first year I hunted here, man, I shot everything at 20 yards and under. And I think I shot 5 or 6 animals. This year, as hunting goes, I just didn't have the opportunities that I had the year before. And comes in, broadside, 30-ish yards, mega meat, behind the shoulder, right on the crease, touch it off, 8 inches forward. Felt good about the shot. And I'm like, what is going on here? Something has to be wrong with my sight or my rest. Anyway, we ended up not finding that with the trackers. I mean, we tracked it, but I just clipped the brisket. And I'm definitely losing confidence in what's going on here and can't really figure it out. Got home, spent some time shooting it, put some torque in the bow. Shane and I worked on it quite a bit. Dropped the left arm, the bow holding arm, dropped it as the shot was going off. And guys, I think that I found the peak of speed for that setup. We've got small fletchings on there. It's a little bit bigger profile mechanical. And I think when you're shooting a field point and you have perfect form on an archery range, you can stack them right in there. But in the hunting situation where you're trying to shoot through ground blind windows, you're putting torque in the bow, you don't have perfect form, your anchor point is not exactly right because you're having to bend, that really fast speed is causing it to be not forgiving at all, and it's amplifying your mistakes. So I'm a little bit back to the drawing board with my setup. I think the ultimate whitetail setup is going to be that 420 to 450 grain arrow, so you've got plenty of weight, and you're shooting that arrow at 290 to 300 feet per second. I think when you start getting over 300, 305 to 310, you're getting on the red line of having any forgiveness in the setup. So that is really what I want to concentrate on in my next round of testing. Welcome to the studio, Wells. Wells has just walked in and derailed my thinking. He's been on a financial planning phone call. Anyway, sorry, guys. We got Wells and Andrew in here. So back to the setup. I think what I want to do is get an arrow around 420 to 450 grains all in and get that thing shooting 295 feet per second. I think I can accomplish that with the form at about 68, maybe 70 pounds, which is fine. I am leaving to go on a mule deer hunt and whitetail hunt in Alberta Sunday. Well, I will be there when this airs, so I will have left. And I'm taking my last year setup, which is 73.5 pounds, 29-inch draw, 470 grain arrow, because I know that shoots absolutely great in hunting situations. I've shot it for 2 years, and I know it penetrates great. I know the arrow setup steers that mega meat incredibly well. So that is what I'm going to be taking to Alberta with me for the mule deer and whitetail hunt. When I get home, I'm going to play around with the form, get it up to about 70 pounds, start playing with some different arrow configurations. But after 5 years of really testing this, I think where I am with the 73.5 pounds and 470 grain arrow is definitely a whitetail lethal setup, and it has proven it over and over and over again. It's just I don't feel like it's ideal pulling 73, 74 pounds. I think that's a little bit heavy. I would love to be down 4 or 5 pounds less than that. I just feel like in cold temperatures and being able to draw the bow as smoothly and quietly as possible, you know, when you get into that 68 to 70 pounds, it makes it a lot more manageable. But then with that 420 to 450 grain arrow, you're going to have plenty of weight there to command the penetration that you need. So as far as the 310 feet per second and the 370 grain arrow penetrating wise, man, off the charts on 2 700-pound animals and a 450-pound wildebeest. No problem whatsoever with that ultralight setup, with the penetration and that speed. I think the issue would be if I slowed that down to 290 feet per second, I don't know how well it will penetrate because it is an ultralight setup. So my thought process was ultralight setup, ultra fast bow, going to get massive penetration, and it did, but we lost in accuracy, and accuracy is the most important thing. is making sure that arrow, regardless of hunting situation, torque, whatever it may be, that arrow hitting where the pin is aiming is the most important thing. So I hope that wasn't ultra confusing, but I feel like 68 to 70 pounds, 420 to 450 grain arrow, shooting 290 to 300 feet per second is the absolute sweet spot. But I need to test it a little bit more, and I will do that when we get home from Alberta. Guys, the season is off and running. We're already hunting here in South Carolina. JD in our office has already shot a big deer here in South Carolina. I am still looking for the Swamp Nomad. I got some pictures of a buck I think is him, but it was a one-night set of pictures, and he was just passing through a spot. The bucks here in South Carolina are all coming out of velvet, so should start getting some movement. The sawtooths are starting to drop, so when I get home from Alberta, we'll be able to really start concentrating here in the swamp. It was about 68 degrees here in South Carolina this morning. Wells and I were working out, and man, it felt good. Kind of got the juices flowing a little bit because it's been 98 degrees and 85 to 90% humidity, so it's been pretty terrible here in South Carolina. But, guys, we are ready to go. The season is here. We appreciate everything. I think on the next podcast we will do a question and answer. So, guys, if you've got questions you'd like answered going into the season, give us a email, shoot us a social media message. We'll get some questions lined out, and that'll be the next one. We'll do a Q&A. Boys, we appreciate it. A little shorter podcast today, but wanted to get that in for guys that are maybe tweaking their into or before the season setups. That is the results that we got from Africa. We told you we'd get those over to you. And, guys, as always, we appreciate it. Any questions, concerns, let us know. Thanks, boys.